Welcome back to The Edge. Your regular news podcast cannot be found. We're sorry, we don't know what happened. Perhaps if you click around, you'll find something useful. You're listening to Edge of the Web, episode 404, here on Edge of the Web Radio.
Welcome to the first ever 404 Awards, exclusively from Edge of the Web Radio, at Edge Media Studios in downtown Indianapolis. Featuring guest judges, Jason Bedard, Lily Ray, J.R. Oaks. Hosted by Morty Oberstein and Aaron Sparks. Now, here are your nominations.
How about that for an intro? The first ever 404 page awards from Edge of the Web, and it's probably going to be the only one because there's only one 404 episode. This is Edge of the Web Radio. I'm your host, Aaron Sparks, owner of Site Strategics. Every week we bring you amazing guests to speak with and talk about digital marketing trends and news. Each week we're covering SEO and digital marketing news separate from our weekly interview podcast so you can get more news even more quickly. This, however, is not a news podcast because we wanted to leverage 404 for all the SEO geeks in the audience. This is the Site Strategics Digital Marketing News Desk, however, of Edge of the Web. I want to bring Morty Oberstein, SEO liaison from Wix, on the show here at this point in time. Morty, how are you doing?
Absolutely shitty.
Why? Why, pray tell? We just gave you an incredible intro.
Oh, no, I'm on the air. I didn't realize this was live. I thought it was a test. No, I'm great. I just got out of 3 hours of traffic. How would you be feeling?
Traffic where, particularly?
Tel Aviv.
Yeah, exactly. That's some pretty rough traffic, yeah?
It's pretty bad. It's like worse than... I'm from New York. I'm from New York City.
So you can handle it.
No, this is bad. I moved out of New York so I wouldn't have to deal with this. I moved 5,500 miles away from New York so I wouldn't have to deal with this.
Oh, jeez. Well, are you still in lockdown down there? Over there?
My particular town is because I don't know why. I guess maybe not if people are vaccinated. I am personally vaccinated, so I can do whatever I want.
Yes. Including getting stuck in traffic for 3 hours.
Right. I'm not sure which is worse, being stuck in my car on the road or being stuck in the house with my children.
One could say you were mobily quarantined.
That's right. That's right.
I'm sorry to hear that. Well, we're glad you're on the show.
My life is a prison.
Okay, we're not going to psychoanalyze Morty on the show today. That's for a 503 database error show. Huh? Ooh, there we go.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, you're rolling.
All right. Well, we're not doing the news this week, Morty, but I still want to take a peek at some headlines real quick. From Search Engine Land, Barry actually rolled out Google My Business releases a tool to manage your reviews. Fantastic. And there's a way to be able to interact and be able to take down, see the status on a takedown request. Yeah. Google actually clarifies the shared array buffer email. Won't go into it technically, but there was a freakout session of anybody that's got notifications from Google Search Console. They couldn't even understand what the arrow is actually meaning. So a couple of different links. So Roger Motti had it over at Search Engine Watch. You can also see Search Engine Land, Barry's take on that. I won't even do it justice, but it was kind of freaky. And Google has explained it after they released. But I mean, warn people, please. And then from Social Examiner today, Facebook is actually looking to launch audio-only rooms to hook into the social audio trend, Clubhouse, and that was from Andrew Hutchinson. So, any thoughts or comments, real quick, on those headlines?
I like the Clubhouse thing. I'm fascinated by big brands trying to destroy Clubhouse, which will self-destruct on its own, in my personal opinion, because the content doesn't last. And it's not interactive enough. I should just listen to a podcast like Edge of the Web.
Exactly.
But I'm on Clubhouse now, so why should I crap on it, I guess.
How's it going for you? Are you enjoying it?
I just started. I'm starting my first session this week.
Oh, cool.
I don't even know what you call it. Is it a room? Is it a chat? Is it a group?
I think it's a room.
It's a room.
Room. Okay.
I want to call it a treehouse. I mean, come on. You know? All right. So we're at episode 404, Morty. This is a 10th season, I should say, at Edge of the Web. I'm proud to be able to have a good number of great thought leaders in the digital marketing space. But we want to do something fun for 404. For all you SEO geeks out there, we all know what 404 is. But we wanted to bring a few guests on that we've had on the show in the past to actually discuss the importance of 404. Just to hear me out here, for the listeners that don't know what a 404 page is, that's kind of code speak. So let me lay it out for you. What is a 404 page? 404 page is also known as an error page or page not found. Page indicates that the user reached the domain they requested, but the URL path is not there. All right. So before I introduce our guests on the show, I want to tell you what we did last week. Basically, anything that brings you to a dead end, that's what a 404 is. And we'll talk about the importance there in a second, but I did want to tell you what we did. We ran a contest last week to give us your best 404 pages on the net. The rules were really simple. Give us 3 examples of 404 pages without any criteria, and we'd have some hand-selected judges to review and pick the winners. It was a contest with less than a week to go, and we actually had 45 unique entries, over 90 submissions, and in this kind of narrow niche, especially small window of time, that's pretty darn good. So we had a great time watching the 404 submissions. The prize is actually really cool. It's a Rode NT USB versatile studio quality USB mic, as well as a Vogec professional DJ headphones and a Monoprice microphone isolation shield. Basically a podcasting kit right there. So that's it in the video here. You can have a look at it. So no criteria, and that was done deliberately, so we didn't have the judges looking for a specific factor of each and every 404. So I wanted to get their take on how they looked at the value of 404. So let me introduce our judges real quick. We got Morty Oberstein, SEO liaison over at Wix, who you've already met. We got J.R. Oaks. J.R. Oaks has worked in the search marketing industry from 2010 and is the senior director technical SEO research at Locomotive. J.R., how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're very good. Thanks for joining us on our fun 404 episode here, and we had a great show with you back a couple of years back. So thanks for swinging back around. And just recently, we had Jason Bernard on the show. He's the co-founder and CEO of Calicube, a groundbreaking digital marketing agency. Jason, thanks for joining us as well.
Well, thank you for having me for the funnity fun of the 404.
Ooh, that was alliteration right there. All right. Well, thank you very much. I don't know.
Jason, are you going to sing for us? Come on.
The funnity fun of the 404, the funnity fun, the funnity fun. Yes, is the answer.
Oh, my gosh. That is now my ringtone for Jason. All right. One person we're missing in particular is Lily Ray. She's also a judge for this. She couldn't be here on the show recording, but we actually do have her take on the 404s here in a little bit as well. So she's the SEO and head of organic research at Path Interactive. So we all know the experience of when we hit a 404, those pages that, it can be some terrible experiences. So I'm going to tee it up to each of you. Why are 404s so important, Morty?
I mean, one is that if they end up on the wrong page, you can show them where to go. Like you have a link to your homepage, right? So they know they hit the right domain, they know they're in the right place, and you can sort of guide them along to where they're supposed to go.
Right. That's beautiful. Well said. Enjoyable.
Yeah, thank you.
JR, what are your thoughts on 404? Why are they so important?
I think they're good for search engines because you're telling search engines what pages don't exist, and hopefully they remove themselves from search results. But also, if they're done really well, I agree with Morty that the goal should be to help the user find what they were originally looking for, if at all possible.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Jason, any further thoughts on the 404 experience?
Well, there's not much to add to that. I mean, I would suggest, we all have them, even though we think we shouldn't, and we work hard not to, but we all do have them. So they're obviously kind of something we need to deal with. And one thing I do think is what Mordy was saying is you need to tell the user where they can go, and you need to reassure them that they're in the right place. I think we often overestimate how comfortable the user is, and a good 404 makes them feel comfortable despite our mistake.
Absolutely. So 404 comes from some coding way back in the internet. We'll get to that history a bit down the road in the show here. But ultimately, the 404 replaces the page that cannot be found. Understanding the intent of why that customer got there, or that user got there, is also really important. If you just throw a generic 404, you're missing an opportunity to be able to guide intent, like you're all saying, to be able to move them further in. So can you even make a dynamic 404? You could absolutely by being able to read the original URL that's being passed to the page and be able to connect and even guide. I mean, you could do some serious work in the 404s if you wanted to. But here's the deal: is that should a 404 even be seen? If you're doing your job right on redirecting traffic, pruning out pages, and making sure that they all have a new path, should a 404 really be a focal point if you're cleaning up your backyard regularly?
Well, I can hop in there because incoming links are very difficult to control. If you've moved a page and you've redirected it correctly, there is no problem for that inbound link. But if somebody's placed an inbound link mistakenly, they've made a typo, you can't control that. You've got nothing that you can do except contact them and ask them to change it, which they probably won't, because it's a big waste of time for them. They've got better things to do with their lives. So that 404 is still going to be necessary, even if you're a genius and you manage to keep your whole site clean. But hopefully what you were saying about making those personalized, specific, dynamic 404s, if you're going to go to that effort, then you're really expecting your site to fall apart on a quite frequent basis.
Exactly. So, and therein lies the trouble, is that, okay, let's say one of the pages that are triggering a 404 doesn't exist, and you have no matching page to be able to 301 redirect to, right? Should you use that as a stopping point to be able to give guidance? Maybe that service is no longer at play, so a 301 redirect is a little bit disingenuous for the consumer, that they're not seeing what they were looking for. So there's the opportunity to be able to help engage, like Morty was saying, be able to move them somewhere else, right?
I agree.
Genius.
What's that line from whose line? No, whose line is it anyway? Oh man, Leonardo DiCaprio. Catch if you can. I concur.
Brief and to the point. Absolutely, I appreciate that.
Sure.
So, I mean, there's a debate on how to use 404s, and I think with these judges, as we checked out all the submissions this week, we clearly saw some differences in how they use 404s. There's a concept of utilitarianism of, okay, you got here, there's nothing here, let's move you over to someplace, and here are some useful tools here. And then there's the entertainment factor. There's the whoops, we made a mistake, and have some fun here. So, JR, what are your thoughts about the two experiences of these 404s that you went through this week?
I don't like the entertainment factor. I just imagine like someone like researching something, and like something like meaningful, or something like they need something quick, and then they hit a 404. Yep. And then there's like a little squatting somewhere, right? And it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like, I just want to find what I need to find and get there. I think some of the pages are good from a link building standpoint, or just like a PR standpoint. But in terms of fulfilling what their intent and purpose is, which is to tell users that pages and hopefully to help them on like a next step or complete their task or do whatever they're doing, I think I prefer the more utilitarian side rather than the kind of fun and games aspect of the 404s.
You're not really helping anybody whenever you have a big, whoops, we crapped on our website, and here's the search bar, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But, Jason, what do you think on the I mean, again, I'm just taking kind of describing two different camps there. What are your thoughts? Are there more than two takes on what you experienced with these 404s?
Well, I think what you just said is, oh, whoops, we goofed. You're not actually presenting yourself in a particularly good light to your audience, saying, we really messed up. I mean, that's not going to inspire great confidence when they actually come to buy from you, because you might do the same thing when you're actually delivering their product or their service or whatever it is. But I think the entertainment side can be useful and can be helpful if it's really well targeted and doesn't take over the helpful aspect. The 404 is fundamentally help your user get where they want to go. Just like your homepage, just like an awful lot of the other pages you've got on a website. If you can add a bit of entertainment, I think that's great. But if the entertainment takes over, you're probably not doing your job. And if you overdo the whoops, we're rubbish, I think you're doing yourself a disservice.
Absolutely. Final thoughts on the two aspects of a 404, Morty. What do you think?
So I think it depends, man. I agree with JR. I agree with Jason. Look, I think one of the examples that was submitted was Pixar. So seeing, Pixar's a cute one of their characters. I don't even know who it is. I haven't watched a Pixar movie in God knows how long. but it's on brand. Like, you wouldn't expect us to see 404. Did you mean to hit our homepage? Mm-hmm. Here's our homepage. You kind of expect to see something on brand, or I think Wendy's has something that's really fun. Mm-hmm. I think it depends on the brand. Imagine you showed up at Pixar or Disney or Marvel or one of these sites and you didn't see a character there. You would think like, hey, like this is just, something's not right here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's one of the ones that made the top 10, but Disney had a really good character. They have Ralph, who wrecks the internet, burst through the middle, the zero of a 404, and for kids, for that brand, that's a perfect connection to using that correctly, right? Plus, there's a search bar that you can find anything and all that you wanted to find there. So knowing your brand, knowing your audience, right?
Well, one thing that struck me about that is knowing your audience. I mean, the kids understand Wreck-It Ralph. They don't understand 404. So the joke is actually half lost, which is why I wouldn't have voted, or I didn't vote for the Disney one. Because that is knowing your audience from one perspective, but missing a point on another perspective, in my opinion. And whoever designed that obviously knows what a 404 is, and they're failing to take that big step back and say, but I'm faced with a 5-year-old child who has no idea.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. They kind of missed the boat.
Sorry, Disney.
They redirected me, by the way. I didn't even get to see the 404.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they redirected me to the Israel site. They have disney.co.il.
Huh. Well, yeah, there you go. They caught you in mid-flight there, and that's also one of the things that we were talking about here. Does 404 have a kind of can you use it as a doorway to guide that customer to their intent? Because if you see something and then you're automatically moved over. We've all seen it whenever you prune out a website and then a branch of that content's all 301 directed to the root of the services page or something like that. How in the world are you supposed to be able to give the user at least a nugget of what they came there for, right?
Yeah, I mean, like in my case, it didn't really work.
No, it did not. It did not. Did you VPN to be able to shake it loose?
Well, I just tried it, and I got redirected in France as well. So Disney are doing it all over the world, and it's presumably only the Americans who get to see their 404. Lucky you. The question about redirecting to the parent page. Yeah. The question about redirecting to the parent page, it actually opens up a really interesting question, which is, I was looking for something incredibly specific, but you're now showing me something that's parental, as it were, but incredibly vague. So I'm being pushed away from what I was looking for. That's a bad user experience. And from a brand perspective, you're not helping yourself once again, because you've pushed me away from what I was actually looking for. A 404 that actually says this, if we know what it was, this was here and it's no longer here, this is where you might find a similar replacement, would be a great solution. Then you're looking at your dynamic 404s, and you, Aaron, can be happy as a lark.
But there's also a responsibility on the site owner to know their old history, their old architecture, right? So you have to have site maps. You have to have everything mapped out over the iterations because, yeah, you got some old links that are coming in. That was maybe 3 versions ago. Still applicable, and you're still disappointing your audience whenever you throw up a general.
Yeah, I had
You throw up a general.
first time
Sorry,
I-
that sounds like a mealtime accident. Sorry, go ahead.
It's a hairball.
like,
Go ahead,
the
James.
first time I ever knew about Russ Jones was I found a plugin that he had for WordPress, which would essentially hook into a 404 response, and it would take the slug of the page, and then it would check it against all the slugs in your database and do like word distance, Levenstein distance between the requested and all the slugs in the database. And then if there was one that was, I think, more than like a 90% match, it would just go ahead and redirect to that one. So getting to your like dynamic, like I think there's some things there that make sense because, I think it was talked about before that, we all see the links on the internet where somebody placed a link in a WordPress site and accidentally fat fingered a key, right? So it's like one letter off, and then now you're getting a 404 for that. I think that makes sense as more of a dynamic type of source, but I agree with the sentiment here of just like mass redirecting or just sending people to a random section where it's not to the detail that they were trying to, or not to the detail of the information they were trying to get, is a bad example. But I do like that solution, especially for some sites where that's really common.
Yeah, the 404 experience on WordPress, it's got another level of this smart association like you're talking about, and it's been a devil of a time trying to unplug that sometimes because we don't want it to make the calculation for whatever reason, wordsmithing of the URL, and that came to pass I think maybe like 2 years ago, or I'm guessing, but we started to kind of break that smart association because it was invariably hitting the wrong destination. But last point about the audience here, this audience is not your main traffic going through the home page where you actually have to associate brand and navigate. These people are coming in through the side door of a known specialty page. They could very well be in the lower levels of buyer's journey right there. They know what they're looking for. They know your brand. They come in sideways. I mean, there could be massive value there, and you're immediately creating a dissatisfaction if you're not paying attention to that experience. Morty, last point on that.
I mean, yeah, look, if you know, like, I don't know, we'll take Wendy's. So if you know people are spelling it with an I and not a Y, it's okay, it's fine, redirect them. That makes a lot of sense. I get that.
Yep.
But yeah, you definitely want to pay attention to what's happening, how they're ending up there, where they're ending up. If there's a common misconception, a common problem, and trying to fix that because it just makes total sense.
Absolutely. All right. So this is great input on the need for 404, and for listeners or business owners that don't know that you should be paying attention to it, check it out. Just put some random characters at the end of your domain and see what comes up. You need to pay attention to that because the user experience is the most important thing, and you could very well be hurting yourself if you're not paying attention to your legacy URLs. There is a space for redirecting to correct destinations, but if you got some bad experience on just hitting a blank page, for example, what a loss of brand equity there. Okay, so let's get into the contest here and dig in. I want to go through these websites in a brief manner. So first and foremost, we're going to go through them, describe them as best as we can to our audio listeners. For our podcast listeners, we have every one of the submitted 404 pages, 45 in all, on the show page, as well as the top 10. So you can be able to navigate those and have a look. We've consolidated all that for you. But we're going to go through them and describe them as best we can. Bear in mind, we also have the video here so you can actually see them live and in color. That said, let's go into, in no particular order, the top 10 that I actually got through here. We're looking at seerinteractive.com, CERinteractive.com. That page actually generated a 404 that actually has a charity jar, a 404 charity jar. They actually donate $1 to causes near and dear to their heart with every 404 visit. So since 2015, they've donated $8,461 in 404 errors to organizations like Spark, Think Dignity, and Cure Alzheimer's Fund. So what a cool way to actually leverage your screw up, but at the same time, if you actually tamp out all your 404s, are you actually taking away charity dollars? Anyway, Jason, I'll go to you. What's your take on the CER Interactive?
I really like the idea. I mean, I like the idea because it's elegantly presented with the jar, and it reminds us kind of that the swear jar kind of concept that I think speaks to an awful lot of people. Giving money to charity reflects well on the brand. As you say, maybe if they clean up their site too much, they won't be giving enough to charity. But then if they've got a problem with that, they can always just give charity because they feel like it, which is absolutely fine too. So for me personally, I didn't see any downside to that aspect of it. It has a search box at the bottom so you can actually search for what you're looking for. I think it could potentially have had another section where it said, here are some suggestions, because I think once again, we underestimate our users, and it is lovely to have your hand held, as it were, and be guided somewhere helpful.
Anybody else wanted to contribute on this before we move on to the next one?
I would add to Jason's point that if they've been tracking the pages, the 404s, since 2015, like I expected there to be some curation there where they actually learned something and actually added. So I felt that was a miss. And then I also felt not linking the charities was a miss.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Good point.
Very good. All right, let's move on to the next one if we could. ReadyToGoSurvival.com. All right, here it is. The red pill and the blue pill. Literally, it was Morpheus saying, looks like this page got lost in the matrix. You take the red pill, blue pill, and the story ends. You end up on our homepage and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, stay in Wonderland, and I'll show you how deep your preps can go. So this is a customized prepper website where you can prep all your survival gear. You got red pill and blue pill. And guys, there's no way I could not click one of those pills. It was just like there. They also have subscribed to their newsletter as well as get started on a personal survival kit. So, Morty, I'm going to give you the first swing at this. What do you think about the Matrix?
It's a little cliche.
You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. All right.
We're going with the humor here. It's a little cliche, a little bit confusing. Like, what are you clicking on? Why am I clicking on this?
Doesn't matter.
I see. You're a Matrix fan. If you're not a Matrix, let's say you show up and you're not a Matrix fan, or you never saw the movie. Now what?
Oh, see, well, then you got me there. But if you haven't seen the Matrix by now, you probably shouldn't be on the net. I'm just saying.
Oh, shall I just leave now then?
Jason
and JR never saw
Seriously,
it.
I've got no idea.
Jason, you've never seen the Matrix. Okay, so
Well, hang on. Is it okay if instead you have seen The Net with Sandra Bullock?
yes, as long as you can click the little icon at the lower left of the screen. There's a deep cut for you. All right. So, Jason, you haven't seen the Matrix. So, what happened? What was your experience with this 404 page?
I just didn't understand it. I mean, but then I'm not the target audience, so I would be unlikely ever to come across this page. But I just looked at it and thought, don't know what he's doing, don't know what that means.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense to me. But I'm not the target audience, so obviously I'm not going to judge them on that. If all of their target audience have seen The Matrix and are completely obsessed by it, then it's fine. But I would suggest putting all your eggs in one basket on one film is potentially problematic in terms of relating to your audience perspective.
I think you got a point there, JR. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, I wrote down limited audience and doesn't help solve users' issue well. So
Very pragmatic.
Was pretty well covered.
Okay,
but hey, it's the Matrix, so who cares?
Exactly. I mean,
Right.
all right. I'll take my whippings and
they
move away.
also have a problem with image rights.
Oh God, don't say that.
Maybe
But they should be paying image rights, which means the
But if you
charity
think-
thing goes right out the window because you're giving image rights to a big multinational movie-making organization. Sorry.
We're just going to move on from that. Okay, mediaproper.com, the 404 page. All right, so pull this one up, Jacob. All right, so we literally had a dog in the office dog, evidently, as they're doing work. Dog's doing something I'm not going to describe on the podcast. You can go and check it out yourself. So this is the entertainment factor that you were talking about, JR. That just didn't do it for you. What are your thoughts there?
I thought there were two things. Number one, it kind of felt like somebody left the camera on a stand, and then they went to go film something, and then it just slowly fell. So it felt like there was a mistake there.
Yep.
And then the fact that it pans down to a dog doing what dogs do was interesting, like for entertainment purposes. But I just can't imagine myself like really wanting to find something about this company, and then I accidentally hit that page.
Man,
and
it could be very, very
going to be a good
off-putting.
Experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't
quite
like
poetic
it at all.
quite poetic that how you describe that. But yeah, I mean, it could be very off-putting. And Morty, what are you thinking when you came across this?
I mean, I thought it was hilarious on the one hand, which is like, it took me a minute to realize, I had the same thing as JR, like, what's going on with the camera? What's happening here? Then you realize, oh, that's happening here. Maybe their target audience that like really speaks to them, and then that's really engaging, and that make them click on something. If that's the case, and that kind of works for me, it's hilarious. I hear what JR is saying though at the same time.
I mean, they could have strategically put a button on the screen. But all things being equal, I don't know if that's matching anybody's audience except some voyeuristic, what have you. It's funny in one way, shape, or form. Jason, what were your thoughts on that one?
Well, I won't dump any more on them than they've already been dumped on. I shall refrain from commenting.
That's just saying I really liked it, but I want to say.
All right.
I think we should do the polar opposite website now. The exact opposite.
Absolutely, and we're going to jump over to something so clean and healthy and what have you. So over at NPR, we've got the page not found. We can't seem to find the page we're looking for. It's a shame that your page is lost, but at least it's in good company. Stick around to browse through NPR stories of lost people, places, things that still haven't turned up. So there are links to subject matter like Amelia Earhart, or the 18.5 minutes of the Watergate tapes, or Jimmy Hoffa. Your luggage, the lost city of Atlantis, and Waldo. All have nice pictures that you can click and go deeper into the site. All right, from a utilitarian standpoint, I'm going to swing around to JR. Thoughts there?
I'm going to like this one.
Of course. I
liked it because it gave you options. It gave a way to correct the issue. And then I also thought it was on brand for NPR with the curated stories there at the bottom. It was interesting. So, yeah, I liked this page a lot.
Anybody who did not like it?
I thought it was brilliant.
Well, I thought it was clear, concise, provided solutions, and it took me a while when I was reading it to understand what it is quite they were saying, but it's quite a nice joke. Definitely the kind of joke that their audience would get.
Yep.
Makes sense, reflects well on the brand, speaks to the audience, and provides the solution. Oh, could that be the winner?
We don't know, and we won't know actually until the end of the show here, because none of us know who the winner is. But you're absolutely spot on. There is that it certainly connects with the audience, and that's what we're talking about here: is knowing your audience and knowing what they're going to respond to. It's not just a master list of the top most popular pages. Meet them where they are, and then move them forward. So. My next example here is directly affecting. Well, it's not directly affecting, but it is correlated to me. I'm their audience here on this Bass Pro Shop page because I'm a hunter. All right, and literally they say, "Oops, the page you're looking for can't be found." Just like when you're wearing the True Timber camo. Beautiful, beautiful. Continue shopping. So we have a lady in nice camo with a deer horn, and hey, she's almost hidden there, just like that page. So I'm the demo there, and I enjoyed that immensely. Although there was no utilitarian, there was no hey. If I came in on a particular product, right? don't you think you could actually get me? This is an e-commerce website. Don't you think you could get me to something that I'm looking for, right? So completely missed the boat on the shopping experience, because that literally could be dollars in the bank. Morty, what do you think about that?
It's so funny that you really liked it, and just to show you how. No, I'm not questioning
Damn.
I'm not questioning it right now. But it just shows to show you how like if you really want to speak to that demographic of yours, so then it's something this completely lost me. I didn't even get it.
Oh,
I thought
there you go.
Bass Pro Shop was about fishing. Why was there a lady in camo there? I just totally did not get it.
Shoo, did a flyby. All right, got it.
And I know. And by the way, I had no idea where to go either.
Because honestly, even the button is a dark green. It's in camouflage itself.
Brilliant. Smart people.
Well,
All right.
I find that interesting because, I mean, I'm not that demographic at all. But what I saw was what you saw, Erin, is that it really speaks to demographic, and it makes a great point about their products, which is, you know, camouflage stuff. Presumably people in that demographic are interested in that kind of stuff. The lady is not as visible as she would otherwise be because she's got the camouflage stuff on. As you say, pity they disguise the button too.
No, that doesn't work with them.
I have to add on that one that page is actually a 200 status, and their actual 404 on the site returns the most crappy page I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. So they didn't do that well. Oh my gosh. So if you actually put
even if they do win, if they do win, they lose for that reason.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, I think their actual 404s just go to a server error and then a meta refresh to the homepage.
I wonder if it's doing a redirect somewhere, because I just made up a page and just smashed the keys, and it did bring me back to that page.
Does it?
So
it did.
It did. Yeah, it brought me back. So I just smashed some keys after the domain, and it worked.
I bet.
Can I make a? Sorry, I've just tried it, and I'm in France. I think it's the Americans being treated with special kid gloves because I got what JR was getting.
You got a server. What's the platform of that? Is that a .NET? We're doing this live.
I am.
It could be a challenge there. Just their server response that it's not. If they have their shop functionality in a subdirectory of their entire web build, then they could very well, you could be triggering two different 404s.
That's right.
You know? Oh, yeah. All right.
That's
all right.
right.
Oh, so yeah, demographic is a
Sorry,
very
no. If you're in a subdirectory, you get redirected. If you're at the root level, you don't. You see the 404. You're right, Erin. Genius.
Hey, there you go. I get one once a month, and I just spent it here on the show. So there we go. All right. Hey, we want to give an honorary mention to this one.
Hey. Yeah. How's it going? You know, this is 404 page, right? I mean, get lost. No, totally. I'm not pointing fingers. I mean, there might have been some here before, but it's kind of it. Oh, there it is.
I won't torture our audience, our listening audience. That is visitsteve.com.
Use the
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
search. Yeah, you can find a way.
All right, so there's a honking video there on the 404. The guy's an artist, and he's got a lot of different pieces. I tortured my kid with the kids with this video because it's like 8.5 minutes long of this guy just talking to the person that hit the 404 and saying, you know what, you can do anything here. You can navigate, and it's the most awkward 404 that I came across. Didn't make it into the top 10, but I want to give it at least honorary mention. Morty, what are your thoughts about this guy?
Had the navigation on the left, which is nice.
Yep.
I don't know what the site. I saw it. I thought it was interesting. I don't know what the site does. To be honest with you, I don't know if that speaks to this guy's target audience or not. It's interesting having the video there because it makes you feel like maybe you're not lost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit nice. I thought it was a nice personal touch, assuming it fits his demographic well. And again, you have everything. You have literally everything on the side of the page there. You can just navigate to whatever you want. So I thought it was pretty good. I liked it, actually.
Jason, what are your thoughts on this one?
It's a work of art, but that doesn't make for a great 404, unfortunately.
Nope. And I already know what JR is going to say.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. 8.5 minutes of this guy saying you probably want to go someplace else. I doubt that any of you actually watched the entire video. So
watch 20 seconds.
Oh, it got better. It got
watched
great.
the whole thing.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, it was a wonderful experience. It made
On work time?
I wanted to. Yeah. Of course.
Okay.
Who are you billing for that? All right, back to our top 10. All right, number in the no ranking order, Wendy's.com has a great 404, in my humble opinion, because it's a video game. It's literally almost like a Donkey Kong-esque video game where you can make your hamburger right there and get chased by a bunch of creepy, what are those things anyway? Pink globs of something or other. Anyway, you're making and stacking layers of a hamburger. So I got a bunch of kids, and literally my kid wanted to play that video game. So there's a demographic there, but I don't know if my kid would be searching Wendy's.com per se. So who wants to take a crack at this?
Yeah, well, I played the game and lost. But I'm not the demographic either. I mean, it's kind of a bit confused just in the sense of it becomes a functionality in its own right, and I'm sure JR won't like that. And the other thing is I don't know what 444 is, so once again, I'm not the demographic. I thought it was fun, it was friendly, it was within Wendy's kind of demographic and brand image, but didn't help me find what I wanted to do. But if I was desperately wanting to win a Wendy burger, it would have suited my purpose, but that isn't something I desperately want to do.
All right, from a utilitarian standpoint, JR, what are you thinking about? Did it have you interacting at all, or did you just click past?
I loved this page. I love everything about this page. I did. I mean, I love the game. I love games to begin with. I liked when you scroll down a little bit, it's like there's 3 action items for you to do. Find a store. If you scroll down the helpful links, browse the menu, find a store, order online, Wendy's Home. Like that's probably the most likely things people may want to do with Wendy's. I like that this page was a 200 and actually has like 30 linking root domains to it, but it actually they're and they have like hreflang to all their different geo versions that are also 200. But yet their actual 404, if you type in just squiggly, just random characters, is this page, right? So they actually made a link building page out of this. So I liked everything about. I thought, and really interesting. Like they don't fire Google Analytics on this page, which is one of the ones that, like most of the results, actually fire analytics. So you're inflating your page views with 404 errors, which is interesting.
That is interesting. Morty, what are your thoughts on the Wendy's one?
I love this page. I was totally on brand for them, which I think is the most important thing. And if you look at the top, even if you don't scroll down, which is they have the helpful links there, but right on top, and then in dark blue or in light blue, whereas pick up an order or make it or whatever it was, it's right there. It's really visual.
Yep.
And it's so on brand for them. It's perfect.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Is.
Well, I don't think I've had you all agree as panelists here on anyone except for that one. So that's interesting. All right. Let's go over to wearesculpt.com. If you're a Shia LaBeouf fan, then this page is for you. If you've ever seen the video, it's the creepiest video. Well, I shouldn't say. There's a lot of creepy videos on it. So I'll retract that statement. But I don't know what they do. Is Shia LaBeouf clapping in the audience at the tail end of one of his videos that he did a long time ago. Congrats, you've reached the end of the internet. Sorry for the trouble. We'll get right on fixing that and head back home. So it's just one click button. I don't know what WeSculpt does at all, or We Are Sculpt, until I click to the home button. So we've got that working against them. So what are your thoughts, gentlemen? I'll go with Jason.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it doesn't actually tell me anything on the brand. It just says I got the homepage. And the problem with that kind of clapping that you've got going on, I didn't know who he was, but it's really sardonic. And it's not clear whether it's a sardonic clap for me or for them. So it's dangerous. I think they're playing a dangerous game because I found myself terribly offended.
Yeah, well, I mean, Shia LaBeouf isn't for the faint of heart. He's he's a bit of a what do you call yeah? Well, there's that too. Yeah. So yeah, if you're not a fan, then yeah, you're going to get real pissed off. JR, what do you think?
The thing I liked about this page was, I think, not a mistake, but I think was just coincidence on their end, because I load the page and there's nothing there but this clapping, and then just you've reached the end of the internet. But the thing that was interesting was that they have chat on it, right? And they have a little robot that pops up in the bottom right-hand corner that says, "Hey, I bet I know what you're looking for. Can I show you?" Right? And like when I first experienced it, I thought that was like engineered that way, where that page, that robot would message something specific to really guide the user there. And I thought that was really smart. And then after I realized that that's just what that robot says on every page. So I liked it for the idea of kind of marrying the 404 plus a way that the user can actually ask someone for help.
Yeah, it would have been great to have some sort of drift technology that can actually do some sort of robot query, right? And be able to interact with it. Yeah. Morty, what are your thoughts on Shia LaBeouf in the background cheering you on as you've gotten to the end of the internet?
I hated everything about this page. First off, it had Shia LaBeouf. I don't know. That guy. It had clapping. Who likes clapping? Please. It was insulting, but also it's just completely inaccurate. Let's say I ended up there on an error. I typed in total nonsense. What are you fixing? You're going to fix me and my typing inability? I think not.
They are a social media marketing agency, evidently.
Well, they suck. I mean,
Dairy me.
Okay, he's getting to the edge of his.
No, but I take that back. Okay, hot take. Their 404 page really sucked, in my opinion.
All right.
So that's a strong maybe, right?
Yeah, he's vacillating a bit on that. All right.
I think maybe you were someone like nicer, like I don't know, Tom Hanks or somebody more Parv. I think I would have been more acceptable or accepting of it.
Yeah, the character is very dividing, so that means they're edgy, right? Although, I mean, this video came out about maybe 10 years ago, so I think that the bloom has left the rose, so to speak. All right. Now, you talk about utilitarian, 37signals.com. All right. Look at this page.
Wow.
It is literally everything they do. They do Basecamp, High-Rise, Campfire, all this functionality. And most of our digital marketing audience probably knows one of these products, who they do, who they are, what they do, what they've written, their featured stories. So they provide project management software and CRM management. So they got everything. This is basically if Google wanted to know the most important pieces, just like site links, right? This is kind of an inline site links page. Gives you everything that you wanted right there at your disposal. JR, how about that?
I like this page a lot. I think it's kind of like people have like sitemaps on there, and I think it makes a lot of sense to put like a condensed sitemap in your 404 page, depending upon obviously your site size. And I also liked the really clear explanation of, this is kind of it. They didn't say, "Oops, things broke," or "Oops, we dropped the ball." Right? They said, "Here's the reasons why you're probably here." Right? Mm-hmm. And gave a path for feedback to correct if there were like really important pages that became 404. So yeah, I thought this was a really helpful page.
Very good. Very good. All right. Jason, want to take a swing at the Basecamp, or I should say the 37 Signals site?
Yeah, I agree with JR. I mean, the one before they were so minimalist there was only one option, and this one there's just too many options.
True.
From my perspective, for the audience they have, it's probably perfect. I personally couldn't be bothered reading through all of it because I don't care that much about the product or what they're saying, and I know all of that stuff. So I don't need to be told. So it's kind of, for me, it's kind of a bit confused about what it's trying to do and who it's trying to address. But that being said, as JR said, definitely helpful, definitely clear. So yeah, very good in many, many ways, with just the thing I think it's a bit overcomplicated.
It was a bit complicated. Design-wise, it's forcing you to read above the fold immediately. So immediately I'm challenged. Okay, I was trying to find something. Now you're actually wanting me to understand what this page, although it's valuable, is doing for me. I feel that if you're at the 404, you got to fire quickly into the conscious mind or even the subconscious. All right, I can get here from here. Morty, what do you think?
Very well put.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
So I liked it. The only thing that was confusing was, imagine you're rummaging through the internet, you're working on 4 million things, you enter the address, you jump to another tab, you jump back.
Right.
What is this? Like, how did I get here? And it didn't immediately strike me as a 404 page, which maybe that's fine.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of information there. And yeah, like if I'm in a rush, I'm not going to read it. But I just felt like a little bit lost. Like, why is this here? It would have been nice just to have like a 404 up in the corner or something.
No, absolutely. And that last point we made, a 404 should actually fire immediately and get you encompass exactly what you need to that next step, and you get deeper in, or you get the video, the funny videos, what have you. But is your job to actually entertain or make a functional navigation scenario? No, you're trying to get them to that next page to go through the funnel even further. So you could very well see that a 404 that is rich in functionality is kind of detracting potentially from what you're trying to do with that 404 to get them into a space where what their intent was. I'll leave it at that. What the intent is on White Spark, however, is poor Brent and the 404. Oh snap! You got this frazzled guy that literally it looks upset. We told Brent to find this page for you, but he couldn't. We pride ourselves on meeting expectations, so to make it up to you, we're going to fire Brent. So the guy looks a bit frazzled. There's a green button that says, don't do that, and then a red button that says, good riddance. Now, you talk about an emotional play there. I know exactly what I need to do with this guy, right? So I don't even see if analytics is running on this. I'm wondering if even there's an event on click on these buttons. But what were your take on this? I mean, it's certainly not utilitarian from what got me there from a function standpoint, but it does give you something to do real quick. Morty, what do you think?
I think for the audience, it works. If you're an SEO, you're familiar with SEO, you're going to White Spark, you found the wrong page, like you get it.
Yep.
I mean, if you're not, then yeah, this page might be a little bit, there's a help button I know in the corner there, but it doesn't work. But I think given who their audience is, which is us, I think it works.
So what button did you push?
I didn't push anything.
Oh.
I got 500 emails in my box to get through. I didn't have time.
JR, did you push a button?
I think I pushed both buttons. I think I fired him first. But
I see.
And then I took it back and then rehired him. Yeah.
I did the exact same thing. So, Jacob, click on the good riddance. You just want to see the screen there. As soon as you click on that, all of a sudden he is screaming, and it says, in the essence, yep, we sent an email telling Brent to have his desk cleaned up by the end of the day. And conversely, if you go back, then you're making Brent happy. So that said, kind of gratification right there of I want to be able to fire this guy, And there is some dissatisfaction whenever you get to a 404 page, but at least they're connecting it with something that you can do. JR, you had another thought there?
I was going to say, I agree with the sentiment that this is for SEOs. SEOs know how to find a page. So I think that you could just throw all that out the window, and this was just enjoyable. So actually, and it's memorable. So
yeah.
I think it's a good 404 page.
It's a branding element, absolutely. Did you fire him or hire him, Jason?
Well, like JR, I did both, but I hired him first, then I fired him. But I think it's really interesting to what.
This might be a whole psychological thing. Yeah, I think we're learning about our judges based on what they're going to do.
I think so too. Morty couldn't give a shit.
To hire him I just didn't care about the guy at all. But which is terrible. But what's worse, to hire him first and then to fire him ultimately, or fire him first, but ultimately you rehired him?
That says a lot right there. Yeah,
I felt bad. Yeah,
I think we all need therapy. That's what
Jason
I'm learning.
He's like, I'll tease him, I'll hire him.
Yep.
And I'll fire the manager.
Wow.
So in fact, I thought I was being nice, but I was actually being the nastiest one of all of us.
Yeah. Don't cross Jason. Don't cross. And if you're working for him and he's nice to you, be careful.
Oh no. But I think to come back away from teasing me for a moment, that JR is so right with that, is that you can throw the whole book out the window if you know your audience and you're nailing your audience. And for once, kind of all these rules that we've been going on about saying, oh, that isn't good because blah, 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 blah. This one, because of the audience, yes, you can throw it right out the window and we can all just have a good laugh about it.
Absolutely. All right.
Except me.
Well, at your expense. All right, last one on the docket for our top 10 is Dribbble.com with 3 Bs. Now, this needs to have a little bit of a mention here. This is pretty cool, is that the 404 characters are actually made up by small images, little landscape images. And if you click on one, they're all rendered with a background of a particular RGB, hex color. And you click on one, you can actually interact with the entire thing. You see the color scheme. You go back a page, and now everything's changed. You got a different hexadecimal HTML color code, and all those pictures that make up the character of 404 are right there. So it constantly changes. You can have and there's a slider bar to be able to slide through the entire color spectrum right there, and all those images have a background. So I don't know how in the world they collected so many images to be able to create that, and they're all basic cartoon images. But my kids love this.
I know how.
What's that?
Brent, you got a new job.
Brent went over there. Yeah.
He's collecting images for them.
Okay, completely useless waste of time, though. I mean, again, entertaining, but you're now giving me a slider bar. I lost, I don't know, 15 minutes just playing with this thing. I'll never get back. That's not the intent of a 404, right? So, JR, did this pass fail your criteria here?
This left such a strong kind of brand positivity for me, and it was unexpected. Mm-hmm. And when I clicked on one of the images and I realized that I could go and actually see the images, and then it had the search bar below, which I assume the site has just a ton of images to begin with, so search is important. I mean, I thought it was very clean. I thought it was on point. I also liked that they as well were careful not to fire GA on this page.
That's cool.
But yeah, this was one of my favorites.
It goes to what Dribbble's all about. It's about it's a designer's network. You have free resources. You can you can actually be part of the network where you can be hired through Dribbble. There's a job board. There's freelance projects, kind of like 99 Signals or something like that. I think that's the company. Not 99 Signals. Anyway, so. It aligns very directly to their community. So, Jason, experience.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I agree with Joe. I mean, this was by far my favorite of all of them because it's colorful, it's playful, it's a game. You can move from color to color and see all these different things. And if you look behind it, as you said, it's a job board. It's a presentation of graphic designers. And in fact, what they've done is said to the graphic designers, design one element with this specific background dominant color, and it gets included in this game.
Yep.
But if you then go and look at the whole profile, their profile is full of all their different works. And in fact, when you click on one of those images, you go through to a page and it says here, this was designed by this person or this company.
Oh, wow.
Hirers, followers. Then you click on their name, you can go to all their different works and they're presenting the works and opportunity to get hired. So for me, this is exactly why I would be on Dribbble in the first place. And it's sending me exactly to the places I want to be in a fun and interesting manner with the search bar at the bottom in case I just want to search something specific. My favorite page by far and away, and this is the winner.
Morty, can you compound that, or are you dissenting?
No, I'm with all of this. I liked it a lot. It's really engaging. So you start engaging with the color schemes. You can move your color, blah blah blah. And once you're doing that, you're already in. They already hooked you. I felt like I wanted to explore what's on this site based upon being able to mess around with the colors. I think it was good. It was great.
Excellent. All right, so we're going to have our judges tabulating the votes here. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Lily into this mix, but we were able to catch up with her and get her take on the 404 competition and some clear insights about how important 404s are. Lily, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun working on this contest with you guys.
It was fun. It was kind of funny just watching the 404s as they were coming through on Twitter because you got to laugh in the middle of the day of some of these, especially the guy in the bathtub. You got to. I mean, that was the last one through the contest, and that was just unnerving to say the least. So, Lily, we really wanted to touch base and get your take on what you see as the importance of 404. Why are they so important?
So 404s are a page that, it's inevitable that a user at some point will hit a 404 on your site. So it's definitely something that every website and, webmaster should think about having on their site and having a proper 404 page. So, regardless of how good your SEO strategy is or how good you are at redirecting, someone will inevitably hit a 404 page. So it's really good to offer not only an experience where they can get back to what they were looking for, but also it's kind of an opportunity to show off a little bit about your brand and your personality. So it's often overlooked, but definitely something to keep in mind.
And there's a lot of times that companies don't even know they have a 404 page, possibly even working against them, right? Sure. And you can have an empty page with can't be found, and you're losing such an opportunity to upsell or move guests to their intended direction. And a lot of times you can have a fully cleaned site structure, your 301 redirecting everything, but even an inbound link is going to trigger something that you can't ultimately control, and even fat fingering, right? Just somebody mistyping something, you can't catch all those errors. So we did experience through this contest that the 404s kind of worked into two different camps, one being highly entertaining and kind of brand centric, and the other more utilitarian and functional, transactional. So where do you lean on the camp of brand versus functional?
Yeah, it was kind of a funny assignment to judge these pages because normally when I think about 404s, I think about it purely from an SEO standpoint, just making sure that all the links to the prominent places on the site are there, or a really good internal search functionality, or just giving the user an easy way to get to what they're looking for.
Yep.
But the nature of this competition kind of made me realize there's a lot of really funny stuff happening with these brands 404 pages. And that's, if you think about I know for a fact that I've mistyped things on Amazon or whatever the case may be, and I remember the dogs. And so it's kind of before that, I don't know that I thought about Amazon's brand kind of having a personality like that, but it is an opportunity to give the user a little bit of what's going on inside, inside the scenes with that company or whatever. Yeah. So I think if you can find a way to blend both, it's a kind of unique opportunity for your site.
There is an innate dissatisfaction, however, whenever you hit a 404, because the gratification is not there. I'm not seeing what I'm looking for, right? So there's an emotion that you need to dig that individual out of, however slight it is, because obviously it didn't pay off getting where they're getting. So putting a bit of brand mixture into that, some fun, and again, it all ties into what type of thematic site it is and who they are. But having that kind of mixture of functionality and entertainment, the ones that we saw really do it well, we were covering a number of them in our contest. But we saw Dribbble out there. Dribbble actually did something incredibly unique in this 404 competition. The entire character set of 404 spelled out with individual pictures that were from their artists that were tied to the hexadecimal color code in a random set. So literally, all their artists were on display right there with a number of different color schemes, and any one of those can be clicked on. You go to the artist's piece, and then you have a direct link to be able to find out more about that artist. Now, you talk about functionality. It's entertaining. There's a slider bar that you can adjust for all different colors. It rebuilds itself with different images, and ultimately, every one of those are a destination for that individual that's in the marketplace on Dribbble. You talk about what an innovative way to connect brand as well as make functionality at the core of this. What do you think?
That's a brilliant one. To be honest, I didn't realize it was that interactive when I was looking at it, so I should have rated that one higher. But I love that because it's like, it gives right off the bat, like, what is our brand all about? It promotes the artists. It's fun and interactive, and it links to deeper content on the site. So it definitely checks all the boxes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So there was a crescendo of the judges around Dribbble. I want to pull up a couple that we wanted you to comment on as well. First and foremost was Seer Interactive, the charity jar that they had there. What were your thoughts about what they were doing there with that particular 404?
My thoughts were, as always, Will Reynolds and Seer are amazing, visionary, just like such a cool company that we should all aspire to be more like them because they do a lot of really cool things. I didn't know about this 404 page before this competition, but I was not surprised to see that they were doing this. And then I felt kind of bad, like, oh, are we going to send a bunch of traffic to this charity that they're doing, which I'm sure is not a big deal, but that's really awesome. And again, it's like another opportunity to showcase your brand's voice and your vision and your mission. And I think that Seer always does a really good job of showing their values throughout their work.
Absolutely. And that's really important right there is brand is made up of not only the atmosphere of what you're trying to create, but the value set that you have of an organization. And you have small opportunities throughout the digital touch with your consumer that you can actually express those. And the 404 error page, it's kind of that aside, whoops, we screwed up here, but this is who we are, right?
Exactly.
Ready to Go Survival was a bit contentious with the judges here. So we have the Matrix. We've got Morpheus there with the red pill and the blue pill. And I got to tell you, I was super excited about this because I'm a super Matrix geek. But Jason says that he hasn't even seen the Matrix and missed him completely. I don't know if we can actually call him an SEO if he hasn't been seen the Matrix.
That's so funny.
So what was your take on this one? This custom preppers website. You got the red pill and the blue pill. What you thinking when they saw this one?
I loved it. I thought this was really creative. I actually clicked on Get Prepared because I was like, well, you have to click on it. Like
exactly. See,
you don't even know where it goes.
Click. Exactly.
Yeah. But that's a really good 404 page because if a 404 page gets the user to take an action, it is successful by definition. So that was a very good one.
Another one that was highly acclaimed from our judges and it made it into the top 10, obviously, which you voted for, was NPR. The NPR.org 404 was not only telling you that you were lost, but also gave some great information on other individuals and topics that were lost. Kind of a cool stepping stone deeper into their website. Amelia Earhart, the 18.5 minutes of the Watergate tapes, Lost City of Atlantis, Waldo. So again, brand aligned, right? But it gave you at least a little bit more traction to be entertained whenever you got to a page that you couldn't find anything. So what were your thoughts on NPR?
It's clever. I think, to be honest, I think they could have done a little bit better of a job with the design, just in the sense of like capturing what you just described with the articles being lost. Like, I don't know that I necessarily got that right off the first glance, but it is very clever. And I do think that if there's a way that you can tie the experience of being lost back into your content in some way, or guiding people back to where they belong, I think that's very clever for sure.
No, it was, and it made its way to the top there. Two last ones I wanted to run by you here, and we know you voted on the full 10, but 37 Signals, their era page, they're the manufacturers or developers of Basecamp, Campfire, and the like. This 404 had so much part of their entire product assembly right there. What was your first take whenever you saw this 404 page?
This was a really robust page that I like that they kind of said, if you had this experience, go here. And if you had this experience, go here. That's pretty wise. It is relying a bit on the user to read a lot of content, which I don't know that they necessarily want to do on a 404 page, but it definitely takes that idea of like taking someone's experience and guiding them properly back to where they need to go, which is smart.
It makes you read first, and I was actually kind of measuring it from my first impulse. If that first second, do I know what to do there? And what you are actually forcing me. One, you're telling me that I didn't get to where I was trying to go, and you want me to actually read these 3 paragraphs to figure out what. That's
asking a lot.
That's a big ask. So it still made it into the top 10. Last one I wanted you to get your take on was Wendy's.com.
I think this was my favorite.
It's the game. It was literally the Donkey Kong game, right?
Mm-hmm. So this is smart.
And this is the only one that and the vector image 404. My kid wanted to jump in and start messing around because it had a art rendering. So you're building patties, and all of a sudden the monsters come chasing you. I mean, literally everybody in their day needs. Good job, Jacob. That's awesome. Everybody needs to be able to play a game, right? So a little bit of entertainment through the day. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think like from a functional standpoint of doing what a 404 needs to do, I don't know how well it achieves that, but it's so clever. And like, it's kind of like social media marketing. I think Wendy's, to my knowledge, if I'm not getting them mixed up with one of the other fast food companies, but I think they have a really good track record of posting really funny and witty things on Twitter. So it kind of maintains that like funny and quirky brand that they're going for through the 404 page. So again, it's like a kind of overlooked opportunity to take that experience that historically on the web 404s are like awful, right? Like not helpful at all. And then to kind of be cheeky and fun, if that's your brand, I think that's a really cool opportunity.
JR took notice that a number of these pages did not have GA Google Analytics running on them, so so they weren't measuring that. They didn't want to have that influence their overarching page performance scores, and that was kind of an interesting take on it. So there's a number of our lineups here. We do appreciate your time today. Last question, I guess, I want to ask you is, how do you know that a 404 is performing?
Well,
that's a loaded question. I realize that.
Yeah, no, I haven't spent that much time diving into that, to be honest. I guess if you're doing something like a site migration where it's inevitable that there's going to be a lot of 404s, then maybe it's more important to pay attention to how people are experiencing them, where are they going after they hit one, if that's the intended goal.
Right.
But that's a good question. I will take that back to my team and make sure that we're paying enough attention to that, because I don't know that we
always give you a pause and some introspection, because those are the last points of customer interaction. But whenever you're going through a site migration, or more importantly, if you're using this as a brand connection, right? Mm-hmm. Got to figure out how to be able to measure that experience, especially if for a number of these, they don't even have GA running. How do you know that's being well received? And what are the metrics for 404? Should you not be funneling them someplace else inside your website? I mean, there's a number of things to think about when working and tooling your 404. It's just, how often do we even think about it? Yeah. We really should be thinking a heck of a lot, right?
Yeah. Well, we're doing all kinds of huge site migrations for clients these days. I think feels like it's been more common lately to be like migrating platforms and changing URLs and things like that. So it's a very good point. I think it does get overlooked as part of that experience because it's inevitable. People are going to hit that page a lot. So you should treat it like any other page on your site that gets a lot of traffic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Any final thoughts for our guests before we cut you loose there?
No, I guess go and start creating fun and creative ideas for your 404 pages with your brands. It's a fun topic.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Lily, for jumping in on our 404th episode. Really do appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care. Have a good week. Bye-bye. I'm going to take a moment and talk about the myth of 404. There's certainly a consumer code responses from server technology a long time ago, but there's an actual urban myth that 404 actually came from Room 404, the room that housed the web's first servers at CERN. That's the European Organization of Nuclear Research in Switzerland. The worldwide inventor Tim Berners-Lee had his office there, and that he frequently was not found there, and the room number was 404. So for our judges, do you know that? Is that a truth or a falsehood? Is that an urban myth? What do you guys think? Morty?
Why me first?
Because of that response.
No idea. It's a myth. Sounds like a myth.
All right. Got a myth. JR, what do you think?
It sounds interesting, but it sounds like a myth to me. Yeah. And yeah, I've never even actually heard of that before. So.
All right.
I guess
at least it had to go first and figure out like elements or not.
James, what do you think? Is it a myth or is it truth?
The question is hit or myth? It's a hit.
It's a hit. All right. I'll let you know. Caillou, who was actually part of this organization back in the 2000s, says it was adamant 404 was never linked to any room or any physical place at CERN. He wrote, that's a complete myth.
Oh,
swinging a myth. There we go. All right. Jacob, do we have a winner? That's a bad dad joke. Yeah. Do we have a winner, Jacob?
We do.
All right.
But I'm going to give you the top three in reverse order.
Let's get the top three in reverse order first.
All right.
So,
coming in third place, we've got White Spark.
All right. The fire, no fire gratification, right?
Yes.
All right.
Your first runner-up is Dribbble.
Dribbble.
With the 404.
Really?
Ooh.
That's the first runner-up. So,
who could it be?
NPR.
Are there any guesses on the winner?
It's got to be Wendy's. It's got to be Wendy's.
Wendy's.
NPR, Wendy's. NPR, Wendy's. All right. Here we go. The winner and first ever champion of the 404 Awards, Wendy's.
Here to accept the award for Wendy's.
That's the thing, is that Wendy's doesn't even know this is going on.
I know. They had no idea.
Yeah, I want you to show up at a Wendy's now. It's like, we're presenting you with this award.
Yeah. Just going through a drive-through.
I would tell them, but I'm worried they'll roast me. Their roasts are brutal, man.
Yeah, they are. Well, I appreciate the production there, Jacob. All right, so I think we have in our audience, our judges, a bit of a disconcerting boo there because they were all over Dribbble, right?
Yeah,
one could say they were dribbling over Dribbble.
It's close. Like the top three were all very close. In fact, second and third place tied, so I had to look at who had more lower or higher votes.
Gotcha. Right. All right. Well, the judges are in, and we certainly thank you guys for participating, and certainly thank Lily for her contributions as well. And sorry we couldn't get her on the panel, but we're all really busy, and I appreciate the time. Any final words, judges that are on the show right now, for our listeners who are kind of troubled maybe by their 404 experience? Because you know that so many people have just checked their own 404s, and they're kind of gasping, oh crap, I didn't realize that people are seeing this. Final thoughts, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I did exactly the same thing, and mine's absolutely rubbish. But yeah, when you're looking at your 404, look at your audience, address yourself to your audience, make sure that you look convincing and credible to your audience with that 404. Don't beat yourself up. Give them options, and preferably, as you said, give them the option that is the most probable, if possible, to what you think they were actually looking for. But give them the option to actually go somewhere else as well. Make sure they have the options.
Yeah, don't stick them in a Shia LaBeouf hellhole there. JR, final thoughts to our listening audience.
I think it just boils down to know your audience and try to help your audience or try to delight your audience. And I think you can go from there.
Very good. Very good. All right, Morty, I'm going to give you the final takeaway here on, oh, hey, Morty, look, there you are.
Where did you find that picture? I know where that's from. It's like a picture I had of Brighton SEO. Wow.
Yeah, so Morty put a thumb in my eye with the Site Strategics 404 page because it sucks. So
it sucks. They said it should win.
The Edge of the Web 404 has a great Morty cutaway with a glowing Morty. Right? He's a happy Morty, not a pissed off Morty.
Well, at least didn't put fornicating dogs there. So
hey, I'm not done with that. I'm not done with that 404. All right, Morty, your final thoughts on the 404.
Oh, that was actually my final thought. The idea of fornicating dogs might seem like a good idea, but you probably shouldn't do it.
Good rule.
They made it into the top 10.
They did.
It was funny. It was funny, but if it was my site, I might be a little embarrassed.
Yep. So rule of thumb, just don't put fornicating dogs on your website.
Embarrassing on your 404.
There you go. All right, gentlemen, it's been fantastic. We really enjoyed the time with you going through this. Thanks for participating in the contest, and we'd love to talk to you another time on the show and deep dive in your experiences. But thanks so much for participating. I really, really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
All righty. Well, that's it for the news this week. Be sure to check out all this week's interview with Ashley Segura. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We certainly do appreciate everybody's participation. Oh, hey. That's the winner, but do we have the actual winner that...
Oh, yes.
Now, hold on a second. Back that truck up.
Okay.
We got to let them know who that person was that actually
the winner was at E. Thomas Digital, who submitted 3 in total, and there were a couple people that submitted Wendy's. That was the first one in.
There we go.
Those are the rules. Whoever submitted it first wins.
So at E. Thomas.
E. Thomas Digital.
Fantastic. So we're going to be reaching out to that particular person. They won a really cool podcast kit. Boy, I forgot the whole bloody point of the contest, right? So for all of the listeners and everybody who's on the channel, thanks so much, and we certainly appreciate the lift and the engagement. It made our 404th episode epic for us, and we do appreciate the continued listening of Edge of the Web and all the guests that come in and share some great knowledge. So from all of us over at Edge, stay safe, stay well, and do not be a piece of 404 driftwood. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.